Welcome to my new YouTube series, How I Become a Magician in Just 3 Weeks. Okay, scrap that, let's make some art instead. That intro idea was probably not my best choice because cleaning up my office now took me longer than actually editing the whole video. Anyway, playing cards are a huge inspiration to me. I really love what other designers, illustrators, artists have done, how they used the canvas of a playing card. Pretty obvious to me that I needed and wanted to make my own playing card deck sometime. So I put that on my bucket list, maybe, I guess, 14, 15 years ago already, so it's been a long time. And I actually crossed that item off my bucket list around, let me see, I think it was 2015. So yeah, that's around 10 years. Back then I actually made my very first own card deck called Geistreiz Playing Cards, together with my fellow student Maike, who I also founded a small illustration company with while we were students at the Münster School of Design. Back then we wanted to do a little personal project and came up with the idea of creating this Geistreiz hand-drawn playing card deck. Geistreiz because that was the name of our company. And we used this project as a showcase for our skills, giveaway to clients, and of course we could make a playing card deck off my bucket list. I'd like to quickly unbox this thing for you. I actually didn't look at this in a long time myself, and it's always nice to take a look at older projects, see what you did way back and question your decisions. The deck didn't have a specific theme, we just had fun reinterpreting the classic court card illustrations. We also gave the pips a custom style, as you can see here. In addition, we created a blue deck with more classic pips for people who wanted a deck with an improved readability. Luckily, we also found a publisher in Noir Arts, so this deck made it to a successful Kickstarter after all. Now, as you can imagine, your style as an artist evolves over time, and 10 years is a long time, and I personally believe that your style as a designer or as an artist never really stops evolving. A couple of years back, I thought that it would be great to get back into making cards again and to create another playing card deck using my current style and skill set, my learnings, and with my whole visual language that I've been working on in the 10 years between my first deck and the new one. Starting with this video, I want to create a little series of videos that give you some insights about my process, that take you with me. I'm also going to ask you about your feedback, so if you have any thoughts about my card designs that I'm going to come up with in the videos, please let me know. I would love to get some advice and some feedback and some thoughts from people who are into playing cards. So let's grab that completely blank canvas and get started and come up with ideas for creating a whole playing card deck. First of all, I start writing down general ideas and questions I have to answer regarding the artistic direction of the design and illustration work, but also the production of the deck. Writing down these questions is a really important part of the very early process for me. And of course, finding the answers to these questions as well. The reason why this is so important is that it's hard to pivot at a later point in the project. If I have 20 cards done and suddenly want to change the artistic direction into something else, I'm going to be really mad at myself because I don't want to take a step back on 20 artworks and redo stuff, you know? So at this point, I want to answer the right questions, give myself the right answers, and set up a thought-through and solid foundation for a project that will most likely take me months and years of time to finish. So here's 5 important questions that we'll need answers for, starting with what are the technical specs of the deck? Let's first look into some boring technical stuff. Imagine me drawing card after card and then I use the wrong ratio or card size and need to go straight into therapy. We don't want that. So here's the plan. I want to do a standard-sized poker deck. The cards are 2.5 by 3.5 inches or 63.5 by 89 millimeters. If I want to do any full bleed elements, that means elements that go over the edges of the cards, I also need extra bleed. I don't have a print shop yet, so let's add 3 millimeters to each side to stay safe. Inches times 300 dpi makes a minimum file size of 821 by 1122 pixels. Sorry for all the numbers. But I'm going to work with a much bigger file later on. I'll follow up on that in part 2 and explain further. One thing that I want to do differently this time is that I'm planning to actually illustrate all 54, high numbers and me, all 54 poker deck, like standard poker deck cards. So not only the court cards, not only the jack, queen, king, and ace, but also like from 2 to 10 each of the number cards. That means 45 single illustrations, 45 times starting with a whole blank canvas, which honestly can feel really overwhelming. It's a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of work. However, I see it from a little different perspective. I don't think it's really too overwhelming when you cut the whole project into 54 different little projects that you can turn to whenever you have time. So whenever business is low, and business right now, fellow artists, you know what I'm talking about, business is kind of difficult at the moment. So whenever I have time, I will grab one of the cards, like the 8 of spades or whatever, and make a little project and turn the 8 of spades into a piece of art. There's no deadline for this project, and I believe with this approach, with this mindset, the whole project becomes like more manageable. I may even want to take this a step further and divide the whole deck into the 4 suits. So maybe I will do some kind of season-like thing where I will illustrate all the hearts, card by card, and then I make a break, and then I start with the clubs or whatever. We'll see, but that's my approach right now. And I really think that doing this with bigger art projects can make the whole project more accessible and lower the overwhelming aspect of it. Question number 2 is, who am I making this for? Who is my audience? Right now, I'd say there's 2 kinds of people I'm doing this for. Art enthusiasts who like my work, and card enthusiasts who are into custom playing card designs. If I find people who are both, jackpot. This all doesn't affect my artistic approach, but it's good to keep in mind who might be interested in my deck. One of the reasons I am doing such a project is that I find it incredibly fulfilling to create something completely on my own that others might buy, hold in their hands and enjoy. That's why I think it's good to imagine who these people might be. Now let's head over to the more creative questions, the ones I kind of obviously enjoy the most. What is the deck's theme? I want my cards deck to have a dedicated theme, some kind of underlying structure, some storytelling. And I mentioned earlier that I considered dividing the deck into 4 different parts, like 4 different chunks of work for the 4 different suits. So how about actually taking the same idea for the theme and giving each suit a dedicated theme? I think now it's time to get back to the sketchbook. I know that these early stages look a bit dry as I'm not actually making art, but writing stuff down most of the time. And it's totally fine if you prefer to head into scribbling down ideas right away. However, building this text-based foundation gives me confidence that my conceptual work is strong. And I can come back to it later if I want to see if an artistic decision fits into this initial concept. I got to admit though, I need to hold my own horses from time to time as well when I note down an idea that I'd love to immediately turn into art. Right now, I'm basically writing down lots of different topics that I think could fit nicely into a card series. It's pretty much all over the place, from food over cyberpunk gadgets to architecture. This is going to be a really hard choice. So maybe why not pick 4 different topics for the 4 suits so I don't have to pick just one. Okay, cool. I'm making some creative progress as well. The resulting idea is that each of the 4 suits will cover one important aspect of my life. And I also make the decision to not make all the decision on all the 4 suits right now. I'm going to do that in the process. However, at the end of this video, I want to decide on at least the first suit, the first theme, because I need something to make actual art for. That's what I'm here for. And for that, we need an artistic direction, and that's where we come to question number 4. What is the style going to look like? When it comes to the artistic direction, I don't want to go for any wild experiments. This would most likely cause me to question my choices while working on the deck, and cause some serious self-doubt as well. No, thank you, I don't need any additional imposter syndrome. Many people know me through my isometric work, and I love the idea of a whole isometric deck. I researched a bit and didn't find a lot of card illustrations that remotely used isometry. Pinterest sucks because of AI and ads, but sometimes it just helps finding cool stuff. Like this deck that is in fact not an isometric deck, it just uses isometry on some cards like this one here, and I think that's how I found it. It was released by Tony Möwissen in 1992, so these beautiful artworks are only 6 years younger than me. Wow. It's not mega important that no one else has done this before. My style is my style and the deck will always be kind of unique, but it's nice to know that this is pretty much untouched terrain when it comes to playing cards. Which brings me right to the last question: what makes my deck unique? I've already given myself the answer to this. My style, isometric artworks, 4 suits with 4 different aspects of life. That's the conceptual cornerstone of this project, and I hope and think they will set apart the resulting deck enough to make it unique. Now everything is set for creating a whole poker card deck. I think all the important questions are answered. Everything is prepared in my mind, in my sketchbook, and it's now time to get into the actual drawing process. And for that, I mentioned it before, I need to come up with a topic for the first suit, and I decided to take the hearts and go for a more or less obvious route, but I like it that way, and it's going to be magical love. So I'm combining the topic of love, love life, maybe the darker sides of love with a more magical fantasy touch. This means, guess what? Writing down more stuff. Hooray! I now just come up with things that I can relate to the topic and that I could imagine on some of the cards, like wine, roses, keys, maybe poison, love poison, maybe even some food, some love related food. And I think there's lots of potential in this idea. So magical love will be the first idea, the first theme, and the first suit. And now we are ready to head over to my absolutely favorite part, which is coming up with actual illustration ideas and with drawing these ideas and turning them into artworks. Thanks so much for watching this first part, guys. I can't wait to get into making the playing cards, show them to you, get your feedback. So see you soon. Bye bye. Cheers.